On today's show, it was a slow start, but a strong finish as the Rockets get the win against the Washington Wizards. Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun both going off in the third quarter of this game. Unfortunately, though, Fred VanVleet might have an injury after this one. It's all coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Thursdays. Be sure to follow along wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets, where the best way you can help us grow our show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Drop us a comment while you're there. Give me your reaction to that third quarter from Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun. Jalen went supernova in the quarter. Alperen Sengun dominated the interior. It was awesome to see. Give me your thoughts from this win, this blowout against the Wizards, or just do a drive-by. Say go Rockets. Helps us out a ton. Also, subscribe to the daily Locked On Rockets newsletter. Would sincerely appreciate that. Now, today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you so much for being an everydayer. Joining us now is your weekly co-host, NBA draft enthusiast, and diehard Houston Rockets fan, Madison Moore. You can track down on Twitter at MadmanLeaks. Here to break down this Houston Rockets 130-112 win against the Washington Wizards. And Madison, this game was real stupid for about like a quarter and a half because Rockets looked like they were jet lagged or just like asleep at the wheel for like the first like 18 to like maybe 20 minutes of this game, with the Wizards like leading pretty comfortably for most of the first half, until the Rockets went on like a little run right at the tail end of the half to take a lead going into halftime. But this was one of those dumb games where like stupid stuff was happening. Like Corey Kispert, who, granted, Corey Kispert's a great shooter, right? Historically, good shooter, great knockdown guy, movement shooter, whatever. He's been struggling all season long to shoot the basketball, and he damn near posted a season high for points in this game. And he like did it pretty much almost in the first half by himself. He had 23 points in this game. He banked in a three-pointer at the end of the first quarter with like a minute left to go. And like when he hit that shot, I was like, are you kidding? Like just one of those nights. It was stupid.
Yeah, no, when it rains, it pours, dog. Like, man, Rockets came out really like, yeah, these guys. This is the first time I really seen the young Rockets really just like, I'd say not respect an opponent. Like they really came out like lackadaisical, not in Rockets fashion. We typically are one of the hardest working, hardest hustling, hardest, hard playing teams. But yeah, they just knew they were a class above this team, and they kind of proved it. They look like a vet team that could kind of play with their food and then switch it on when they needed to.
Yeah, I feel like this might be one of the first times this season where, I think Jalen used that quote specifically post game when he was asked. Vanessa Richardson, Rockets courtside reporter, asked Jalen Green after the game. She was like, you guys came out with a lot of energy in the third quarter. What was the message from Ime Udoka at halftime? And Jalen paused for a second because he started answering, and then he said something like, I almost used a curse word or something. Because look, let's face it, Ime went back there at halftime and absolutely chewed them out. And Jalen did follow up by saying, yeah, we were playing with our food. And that's exactly what it looked like in that first half, right? They didn't take it seriously. Mm-hmm. Jalen missed a ton of easy shots. And now, look, to be fair, Jalen's playing with a sore knee, and so like he wasn't, his usual self. He wasn't getting downhill, wasn't really putting a ton of pressure on the defense. Alperen Sengun had a bunch of gimmies, and he was, missing a bunch of point-blank shots, which has been a theme all season long. So maybe that's at least par for the course with Alp. But then, you had Fred, was knocking down some shots. Amin, had a quiet but strong kind of first half. And those two guys really kind of kept the Rockets afloat, I guess, in that first half. And then it was the third quarter where Jalen Green went supernova, and Alperen Sengun remembered, hey, he's actually pretty good at basketball. Those two guys combined for 36 of the Rockets' 40 points in that third quarter. Madison, that might be the best like flat out quarter of basketball that we've ever seen those two play together as teammates.
Yeah, man, they went absolutely nuclear on the Wolves, man. Jalen
The
just getting.
Wolves.
I'm sorry, the Wolves, the Wizards.
It's okay.
Excuse
This
me.
game was stupid. I won't blame you. For getting
Yeah,
mixed up with the
it was
Wolves.
one of those games, honestly. But that third quarter was kind of electrifying to watch, and you could tell that the Rockets came out with real energy to say, "Hey, let's get serious and let's get this game going." And what they did was they turned the Wizards over a ton of times, and they shot the ball well and got out in transition and scored. And then Alp finally decided to make his layups. So, with that combination of things, Jalen getting hot, Alp really sealing guys early and scoring a bunch of buckets, and we'll get into that later, but really led by their defense and their defensive effort, and the Wizards making a lot of, let's say, questionable turnovers, unforced turnovers, errant passes. And so guys really just filled up the stat lines this game, and all really was led by the third quarter.
Rockets forced the Wizards into 18 turnovers to the tune of 35 points, Madison. This might be the most effective game so far of the season for the Houston Rockets when it came to, actually, and I take that back. I got to update those numbers. Those numbers were, oh no, those numbers are correct. Okay, good. Just making sure. But this might be the most effective that I've seen the Rockets just capitalizing off of those forced turnovers, right? This is a team that has definitely built its entire identity on the defensive side of the ball. And unfortunately, right, that does come with its drawbacks because, yeah, you roll into a game against a bad opponent, literally the worst team in the NBA record-wise with the Washington Wizards, and you want to have a night where, yeah, maybe you can like take the foot off the gas a little bit and take it easy and maybe, cruise against a bad team. But you can't really do that when your identity is based on your defense, right? This Rockets team generally isn't, an effective or potent enough offensive team to where they can just, decide, hey, we'll just turn it on for a quarter or two and bury them under an avalanche of threes and call it a day. Now, that's what they did do, courtesy of Jalen Green in that third quarter. But it was, to your point, it was ignited by their defense, right? They had to lock in a little bit defensively. Exactly. And once they did that, you could tell, like, immediately the body language was just different in that third quarter.
Yeah, it's very clear when the guys get out and running, the energy is different for this team. When they're feeling better about themselves, they're more relaxed. All of a sudden, they get a couple layups, a couple dunks, and now they're shooting freely, right? And now they're shooting on the break. So it's really common for a young team to use their defense to fuel their offense. And this was yet another sign that the Rockets need that. They can't just come out here and play lackadaisical and run the offense and expect to just win off execution in that manner. They're not quite there yet. They're still a young team, and so they really need to rely on the energy of that their turnovers generate to get them into rhythm. And boy, did they get into rhythm. You know what I mean? And it's great to see. I know you never want a team to come out lackadaisical, in the start of games, but it's good to see that the Rockets are kind of reaching a tier when they do come out lackadaisical, they have a switch, another gear that they can turn on to really separate themselves from a bad team like they did tonight. And it's just the type of stuff you see veteran teams do. And it was good to see the Rockets have that gear in them.
Taking care of business against a bad team. That's what you love to see good teams do. That's what the Rockets did here. Coming up, we want to get into some of the specific breakdowns, some of the things we saw in this game. Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun, their huge third quarter, how they both turned it around after a really rough, lazy, lackadaisical start in this one. Also, we got to talk about Amen Thompson, his monster night, 20 points, 15 rebounds. He is a monster on the glass, Madison. Plus, Fred VanVleet might be injured. This could be bad news for this team. We're going to get to all of that and so much more here in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate College Basketball. Look, I want to take a moment to introduce you to a brand new mobile game that I'm actually pretty excited about, Ultimate College Basketball HC. If you've ever dreamed of being a college basketball head coach, this is your chance to step into those shoes. In Ultimate College Basketball HC, you control every detail of your program, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps, handling NIL deals, and managing scholarships. It's all in your hands. And when it comes to game time, you get to draw up offensive plays and set your strategy strategy. The way you play won't just affect the current season, it will shape the future of your school's basketball program. It's a game that lets you feel the full weight of what it means to be a head coach and lead your team to glory. Here's a special offer for our Locked On Rockets listeners. Use promo code LOCKEDONCBB, all caps, inside the game store to get a free boost for your program. It's the perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. To download Ultimate College Basketball HC, just visit ultimate-cbb.com or look it up on the App Store. That's Ultimate College Basketball HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Let's get into some of the specifics of how the Houston Rockets really turned this game around. Well, more specifically, the individual performances that helped turn this game around for the Rockets in that third quarter, in the second half. And kind of the momentum really did shift a little bit before halftime. Again, that's why I said it was like 18 to 20 minutes of like stupid basketball. And then the Rockets really they had that 7-0 run to close the half. And, Amin Thompson had that really, really good drive to collapse the defense and kick it out to Jalen Green for literally the final shot of the half, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was Jalen Green's first made bucket of the game, was that three-pointer to close the half with like 0.3 of a second left on the clock. Gave the Rockets the lead. They carried all that momentum into the third quarter. And that's where Jalen went supernova. So he had 29 points to lead the Rockets in this game on 10 of 22 shooting, 7 of 15 from downtown Madison. And again, hit that first three at the very end of the second quarter, and then hit his next 6 in that third quarter, tied a career high 22 points in a quarter. He did that earlier this season against the Pelicans, did it again here against the Wizards. When Jalen gets hot, it is scary how easy he makes it look.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, it's Jalen's biggest talent is that he has that superstar trait that when he sees a couple go down, he can get on a heater like no other. And it's really the type of thing that you'd like to see in your star. And Jalen clearly has it. And he got it done, really, I felt like in the catch and shoot game. I really thought off of turnovers, and most of the ones that he made in all game were catch and shoot threes. I think he only had like 1 or 2 off the dribble. The rest were really just him getting teed up from Alperen Sengun kickouts and the Rockets moving the ball effectively and off turnovers. He even had a couple in transition. And so it's really good to see Jalen get hot, and it's really good to see Jalen get open catch and shoot threes. He gets a couple a game, but I thought he got a really steady diet of them tonight. Kind of the diet that we see Dillon Brooks get a lot as the release valve for open threes. But we got to see Jalen take a ton of them, and he got hot. And when you can get hot off ball like that, I think it really works. And that kind of led into, I think, while Alperen Sengun also had a really strong night, right? So Jalen didn't have to dominate the ball as much to get his buckets, which allowed Alperen Sengun, who we tried to get involved early in the first quarter, but he was too lackadaisical, too unserious. But he wasn't having none of that in that second quarter, and also began to dominate with 16 of his own. And I really like how Alperen does his work early in sealing guys under the basket. Alex Sarr had just cannot handle how strong Alp is, and he really did a very good job sealing him under the basket and getting buckets. And I thought all of the teammates did a good job of making sure Alp got his touches, and Alp also returned with a lot of good assists tonight, including to Jalen, helping him get on fire. So I think those guys really worked in tandem, really as a team, to really help each other out. Because as Jalen is on fire from 3, Alp gets less double teams in the paint, and he's able to get easy duck-ins and easy buckets. So good job, and kudos to both of them for really breaking this game open in that third quarter.
Yeah, it really felt like on Alp in the first half, right? He didn't. And this is the really cool thing about Alperen Sengun. Generally, like if he does start a game slow, he usually kind of figures out what the difference is in the second half. And in this one, right, in the first half, he was not being nearly as physical and using his strength against the weaker Wizards defender. Look, Alex Sarr, what's his name? Oh my God, why am I blanking? Kuzma, there we go. Kuzma, like the Wizards front court players outside of Jonas Valanciunas, none of them have the strength to deal with Alperen Sengun when he's posting up. So, what you saw in the first half, right? He was just, again, he'd have his little moments where he's facing up, or he'd get too cute with it, right? He'd have him on the block, have him on his back, and he'd be like trying to spin around him and use his speed to, at one point he like tried to spin around Alex Sarr and got blocked. Like what are you doing? You don't need to use your speed against a more agile, quicker, lengthier defender. Exactly. No, put him in, stuff him in a locker, right? And that's what he did in the third quarter. He put him on his back, backed him down as he was literally like inside the rim. And then he had so many buckets in that third quarter, I should say, where he was literally like under the basket and just turn and put the ball up, and he's like 1 foot away from the rim. And then what that did, once he got going there, and then the Wizards were like, okay, let's put Valanciunas in there so that he can't bully us right at the rim. Then he just turned into a fadeaway master, and he went back to the little fadeaway flamingo shot, drained multiple of those over Jonas Valanciunas on his way to that 14-point quarter to complement Jalen Green's 22. And to your point about Jalen with the catch and shoots, man, Jalen does get a handful of catch and shoot opportunities every single game, but I feel like, again, Jalen is such a rhythm guy, and he's such a guy that he thrives when the game is being played at a faster pace. And because of how fast that quarter was, the turnovers, the defensive stops, the transition play, Jalen wasn't just, it's not like he was sitting in a corner, for 15 seconds of a half court possession, and then, very cold, and then suddenly, boom, kick out pass. All right, I got to knock down a three. No, it was run and gun. You're pushing tempo up and down the court. It's basically a track meet at various points. And then that was where I think the difference in Jalen's catch and shoot opportunities in this game versus other games that we've seen this season. And a big part of what allowed the Rockets, I'm going to say allows them to play faster now, is having Amin Thompson in the starting lineup. Amin Thompson, another unbelievable stat line. It's like video game numbers when you look at what Amin Thompson does. 20 points on 7 of 8 shooting. 20 points on 8 shots is ridiculous. That's crazy efficiency.
That's bananas.
He had 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. He had some middies too in this game. That's ridiculous. He had some pull-up middies, a couple of them. I'm saying it right now. I don't know what the Rockets are going to do, Madison, once Jabari Smith Jr. is healthy. There's no way in hell Amin Thompson's ever leaving the starting lineup. It's just not going to happen. He's too impactful of a player. He's been artificially capped at 28 to 30 minutes a night because he's coming off the bench. There's just no way that you can leave this guy, a guy who is a better rebounder than Jabari, a better perimeter defender. And this is not even digs at Jabari. This is not shots at Jabari. Jabari is a great player in his role, in his own right. I just don't know what the Rockets are going to do, because you can't leave this guy, a guy with this level of production, on the bench anymore. It can't be done. He is a starting caliber player, and he's a legit future superstar.
Yeah, his minutes has gone up, and so has his production. My God, another 15 rebound game. He just had 16 last game. I mean, this is what we're going to expect now that he's getting 36 to 40 minutes. He had 41 minutes tonight, and boy, did he stack the stat sheet with steals, blocks, and everything in between. And of course, it's amazing to see how a player with his shooting deficiencies remains so effective on the offensive end, finding ways to crash the boards, get down here in transition, and really provide energy for this team and score. This dude is the ultimate Swiss Army knife, and it's so amazing to see. And guys, he's just in his second year. You know what I mean? This is scratching the surface of who Amin is going to be for this team, and it's just he's like a supercharged mix between Aaron Gordon and Iguodala right now. That's what he feels like to me. And he has this switchability. He's everywhere on the court. And then I look at the stat sheet. I knew he was having a good game, but 20 points on on 8 shots.
It was the quietest 20 points, man. At one point, Craig was talking on the broadcast. He was like, okay, Amin Thompson, third Rocket, and with 20 plus this game, or 20 points tonight. I was like, how did Amin get 20? I didn't remember him getting to 20.
Yeah. Exactly,
it happened out of nowhere.
No, I mean, and that's what we expect to see. There's always a silver lining when we have, when their injuries are, that the next man is up and somebody's going to get an opportunity. And we're going to get a heavy dose of seeing what Amin in the starting what we think is a non-shooter in that lineup, and see how teams adjust to him, and see how Amin also adjusts to teams. I can't wait for there to be more film so teams can start to adjust to Amin, so I can see how this team responds to that. But right now, Amon's going to kill teams. Amon's going to kill teams on the boards. Amon's going to kill teams defensively, and he's going to kill them in transition. And I expect that to ignite the rest of these teams, rest of this team, as we know they play so much better when they're getting up and down.
And he's even had some very strong, encouraging possessions in the half court because teams aren't ready for another downhill threat in the Rockets starting lineup, right? That's the main distinction between Jabari and Amin. Amin is a just mountains more dynamic player in what he provides. Jabari is your traditional 3-and-D role player. Amin is a dynamic downhill insane, like 99th percentile athlete guard who can, collapse the defense and have kickouts and finish at the rim. And he gives the Rockets a different dimension on the offensive floor, even though he doesn't technically provide spacing in the traditional sense. You're witnessing just how effective he's able to be, even though he's not exactly a shooter. And that's the other thing is, like, we've seen him throughout the season take corner threes with confidence. Didn't attempt a single three in this game, didn't have to, but he's been improving in that regard. And again, even just the middies that he hit in this game, right? There are so many encouraging signs that he's not going to be a poor shooter for very long. Even if he gets to a place where he's just moderate shooting the basketball, he's already a nightmare. He's going to be unstoppable if he gets to a point where he's just got even like a 30 to 35% like mid-range shot or whatever, or a 3-point shot. It's going to be curtains for the rest of the NBA. Coming up, we got to talk about Fred VanVleet's strong night right after I tried to move on from him. And we're also going to talk about his injury and how ridiculous it is that he was even in the game to begin with. Also, a quick update on Reed Sheppard, who was filling up the box score with the Vipers. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Look, going to live events is the absolute best. I love it, whether it's a basketball game or a concert or the theater or a comedy club. One of my favorite memories was going to a concert last year. The energy, the excitement, it was a truly unforgettable experience. And I got the tickets on Game Time. Now, Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. Recently, I was looking for some tickets to a Rockets game a little bit later this month for me and some friends, and I was on the Game Time app, and it made it so easy. With Game Time Picks, you can find amazing deals and even see the view from your seat before you buy. The super deal was actually really impressive, offering great seats at an unbeatable price. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout, just fully transparent. So take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. All right, Madison, Fred VanVleet had a really solid game. And look, this was a nice little reminder that, hey, when Jalen doesn't have it going, when Alp doesn't have it going, to be fair, there have been some games where Fred doesn't have it going either this season. But having a guy that can, reliably at times get his own shot off, get to some of his sweet spots on the floor, be it pull up threes, off a pick, screens on the perimeter, or get into the mid range, and that's what Fred did in the first half. Kind of between he and Amin kind of kept the scoreboard pushing when Jalen and Alp were really struggling to start the game. Finished the night 19 points on 7 of 15 shooting, 12 assists, 4 steals, had a block in there, which I don't think it's not a block. It's one of those steal blocks, but so we'll call it 5 steals for Fred in this game. Just really solid production, great efficient night, got guys involved. But unfortunately, he was in the game, but the Rockets were leading like comfortably ahead at the end of this one. And with about 3 minutes left in the game, Alex Sarr rebounds the basketball. He's going coast to coast, and Fred lunges at the ball to try and stop the fast break, and he forces Sarr to pick up the dribble and pass it out to a shooter in the corner. I don't even know if the shooter made the shot off the top of my head, but on that play, Fred kind of collided with Sarr, and he looked like he was gingerly walking up the court. And once the Rockets kind of settled in their offensive possession, Fred immediately turned back towards the Rockets bench and motioned and was like, "I need a sub," and then he immediately went back to the locker room. Ime Udoka, after the fact, did not have an update on Fred VanVleet, so we don't know. it looked like it may have been like a hammy or like a lower back thing that happened. Neither of which are good signs for your over 30-year-old point guard who's only 6 feet tall and has had, his injury issues in the past. Like, you don't want Fred. You don't want to lose Fred, even though I will say this is, my God, I just did an episode saying, is it time to move on from Fred? Madison, I might have a superpower here because every time I talk about moving on from a player or trading a guy, they immediately pop off for a big night.
Yeah, man. What a night for Fred. I think we can maybe thank Jackson for getting Fred back on track. Because soon as he starts talking about Fred comes out and just shows why he's so freaking valuable, man. Man, Fred is the ultimate vet. I just want to take, before I get into the injury, I just want to take a bit of time to appreciate how I felt like Fred kept everyone involved tonight. Right? How I felt like Fred was the ultimate backside deflector, generating the steals that we needed to get out and up and down and running. How even in an off-ball role, Fred VanVleet still made it a focus to hit Alperen Sengun in the post. Like every reversal, when it hit to Fred, he's hitting Alp on a duck down.
Yeah,
right?
we talked about how Alp got the seals. Exactly. That's a two-man game because Alp does the work to get the seal, but then you need the recognition to get the ball inside.
And the ability to pass,
absolutely.
Make that pass. That's not an easy pass, especially for young players, right? But Fred's recognition and understanding, hey, we have a focus of getting Alp into rhythm. He's had a couple tough games, right? We want him to feel involved in this offense. And every time, why I'm harping on this is because we always know Fred gets him involved in the pick and roll, but he still has that ability to get Alp involved even in the off-ball role. You know what I mean? And that's just how valuable a vet like Fred can be, man. I really just, he went into injury. We may think it's stupid that they were in the game at the time. It's unfortunate that they had to be in the game.
No, hold up. Let me go on. It is stupid. Madison, it is dumb that they had to be in the game because this team messed around a few games ago, right, against the Wolves and against the Heat, and they had those embarrassing late game collapses. So Ime Udoka was like, we're not messing around with this one. Yes. Wizards cut the lead to what,
they
16?
Did. It was 15 or something.
And Ime's sitting over there with PTSD flashbacks to those other games. He's like, nah, all right, starters back in. We're not messing around with this. And this is why when you build a big lead, you need to be able to take care of that big lead because these are the types of games where the Rockets starters should not have ever had to re-enter the game in the fourth quarter. Look, and you might sit there and say, oh, they've got a bunch of young players. It's fine. Let Jalen and Sengun and Amin get the run. Fine. You want to let them get burned because they're young. They got young legs. They're fresh. Cool. First off, Jalen's playing on a busted knee. So, Jalen should have been resting to begin with. Also, side note, if Jalen's going to continue to shoot like this with a bum knee, bust out his other knee. Just take a bat to his other knee if he's going to shoot like this. Because if he goes 7 of 15 every single night, give him 2 bum knees. Maybe he'll go 12 of 20 next game. Anyways, I digress. Seriously, though, it's just dumb. They should have been able to rest. There was no reason for your veteran point guard and your veteran wing, your ace, defensive wing piece in Dillon Brooks to be in the game that late against literally the worst team in the NBA. This was literally worst case scenario is Fred makes a play. He's just trying to make a regular basketball play. Fred's not out there trying to get hurt or anything, but stupid stuff happens. And so now, hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully it's negligible, and Fred will be back next game. No big deal. But at worst, it could be a hamstring, could be a lower back injury, and then Rockets, who are already depleted and missing guys up and down the roster, you don't want to have a lineup where you're starting Aaron Holiday, or you don't want to have to call Reed back up from the G League and use him back in the rotation just after he had a great. We'll talk about his game here in the G League in just a second. I just think it's dumb. Sorry, I had to get it off my chest.
No, it is, man, and unfortunately, man, let's pray Fred isn't seriously hurt. You know what I mean? Let's pray he doesn't have to lose any time because some of you Jalen truthers on Twitter are going to get just what you asked for if our guy has to lose some more time. But now the injuries, if this one is true, the injuries are starting to stack up on the Rockets, and our team is going to be running thin, dog. They're going to have to band together, and that is their emotional leader. We're going to see how important Fred is if he's not out there on the floor. So we hope he's going to be good and he's going to be out there because we can just see how important he is, even as an off-ball player for us.
Absolutely. And that's the other element too, right? Is again, you can look at the stats, you can look at the advanced numbers, you can use your eye test and be like, nah, I want to see what the Rockets look. Fred is still the emotional leader of this Rockets team. And I don't know if there's another like Jalen has grown in his leadership role. Alp has become, more vocal at times. Dillon is obviously one of the locker room leaders, but Dillon is also not like the vocal leader of this Rockets team. That is Fred. Like, and I don't know. We're talking about, who's going to take over the mantle of like, which of these young players is going to grow into a star player, all that stuff. Who's going to be the emotional leader for this Rockets team? Like there isn't one right now. I would say outside of all the young guys, Jabari is probably the closest to be like, he's easily the most vocal of all the young guys. He's a starter, right? He kind of quarterbacks the defense at times with his role, but Jabari's out due to injury, right? Like you don't have like an emotional quarterback out there if you miss Jabari and you're missing Fred, and we're going to see just how important that may be or is if Fred has to miss any time. But again, hopefully no missed time for Fred VanVleet. Quick update here at the end of the show about Reed Sheppard, who absolutely popped off and wait, oh, come on. NBA G League, what are you doing to me, man? Okay, well, this box score is busted on the NBA G League website. At one point, Reed Sheppard had 33 points. I'm just gonna put that out there. I literally cannot see the points column on the G League website is just empty for the box score. Like this is the most like G League thing to have ever happened. Is I had it pulled up. It was like midway through the fourth quarter when we started recording. I watched a little bit of Reed's play.
I got
what
something.
Oh
my God, from No Ceiling, so it's real.
What?
Jesus.
What is it?
Reed Sheppard's stat line is ridiculous. 49 points.
Ooh!
49 points, Jackson. 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. 17 of 33. That boy got 33 of them things up. 8 of 19 from this bruh shot 19 threes tonight.
Ooh! Oh my God.
I can't believe. God. Are you fucking serious? Bro, this is from No Ceilings. This is where I'm getting this tweet from because since G League stat stuff is going, but 49 points is absolutely bonkers. I really 19 from 3.
I really wish I had the full. You know what? I gotta do it justice. I need you to carry the show for a second. Carry the show for a second.
Go ahead, call him back up. I think if Fred is down bad, I think we need to go ahead call Reed back up because 19. Guys, understand how many attempts from 3 that is. 19 is a ridiculous amount. 49 points on his first game. And of course, he's got 6 assists. That's amazing, man. I can't see the steal. 3 steals, of course. I mean, I think that's what we wanted to see in the G League. And I think he's already proven that he's too good to be down there in Rio Grande, bro. We might have to give him another chance. But this is what we want to see from Reed, dog.
All right, here we go. I got the best way to describe Reed Sheppard's game at the G League, his first game in the G League. Here we go.
Oh my, someone called the National Weather Service. We had an unanticipated storm in the building tonight. Homeboy was raining threes down on these fools. Bam, 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 one after another. They'll lose track of you and boom, another one. That was sweet to see. You keep shooting like that, it's gonna make a huge difference for us.
Yo, why did that match so well?
Oh man, I almost always have the full version of that clip on the soundboard, but for some reason I must have put another audio drop over it or something a long time ago, so I was looking for it because I have the individual ones. Like obviously this has been a staple on the soundboard for so long.
Oh my!
And then
that was sweet to see.
Yeah, I hear them all the time.
So I had to do it justice, man. If you're gonna take 19 threes and go 8 of 19, you deserve the full Weather Service soundbite. My goodness. Look,
bro, I was not expecting that at all. I had any of what was going on with Reed, y'all. Shit literally just blew my mind.
Oh man, look, I watched a little bit of the game, but I only saw like a little bit of his first half. He had like 16 points at the it wasn't even maybe halftime. It was maybe a little bit before halftime. So again, look, that's what you want to see from Reed. And look, this is exactly why you send him to the G League. Let him go down there, let him cook, and give him like a handful. Like, he might not even need more than a handful of games, because if he's knocking him down like that, then bring him back up here, put him ahead of Aaron Holiday, because I'll tell you what, Aaron Holiday's not going to go down the G League and get 49 points.
Yeah,
actually, he could. G League can be a little rough sometimes, and Aaron Holiday can, like, he's low-key a hooper, so maybe he could go down there and get 49. But it's a great sight to see.
Call him back up, man.
You know what's gonna happen? I was just saying Aaron Holiday wouldn't get 49 in the G League, and Aaron Holiday is gonna pop off for 20 plus next game. I'm calling it right now. This was my version of like not accidentally of trading Aaron Holiday. It was talking about him not being able to score in the G League. I swear, it's just, at this point I'm just fully convinced the entire team listens to the pod and they're just like, oh, Jackson doesn't think I can. I'm gonna go off for it. Whatever. Anyways, that's all we got for this one. This was a dumb game, but they went off. It's a Wizards, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like, they took care of business. Reed went off in the G League. It's always fun to see. You got anything, Madison, before we wrap this one up?
No, that's it for me. Find me on Twitter at MadmanLeaks. Come talk Rockets basketball, NBA draft with me.
That's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Rockets. As always, thanks so much for checking out the show. Remember, the best way you can help us grow our show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Drop us a comment while you're there. Subscribe to the daily Locked On Rockets newsletter. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.